Hello, my name is Antonio, and this is the commentary for my Apple parodies. I decided to not really do any specific Apple parody, or just talk about any specific one. I just kind of want to talk about all of the Apple parodies that I made throughout the years, and just kind of talk about why I made them and why I made so many, and why I was making them literally every year and all that. And so, these are some of my favorite videos on my channel, just because I feel like they're very accessible for anyone to watch. Because I make a lot of videos that I feel like are just more niche and just more like, if you're really only gonna get a lot of enjoyment if you're friends with me or if you know me well. But these videos I think are very just easy watches for anyone that's like new to my channel or new to just, I don't know, my content in general. And that was kind of by design. I wanted, I made a lot of content that was just like fun for me, but I wanted to make content that I wanted a lot of people to want to watch. So early on, or not early on, but later into 2016, around the time when the iPhone 7 was coming out, I had the idea to make an iPhone 7 parody commercial video. And this was very much inspired by the Apple parodies that Jax Films was making at the time, because I was an avid Jax Films viewer. And he made a lot of he basically was making them every year around this point. And I was like, you know what? I have my own idea for an Apple parody. I didn't want to just straight up copy him, but I was just like, you know what? I have like an idea for an Apple parody and this, and I kind of like a script in my head. So I wrote and filmed the iPhone 7 parody. And that was, I think it stuck out at the time in terms of my content, just because it was just a very different sort of video. It was very just like more cynical and more laid back than a lot of my current, like my videos that I was making at that time. And I think that's why a lot of people liked it. And I was pretty proud of it at the time. And so, I just thought like maybe I'll just keep doing these. And so, I planned on doing an Apple parody the year after. I was just like, I might as well just like try to do them every year if I can. And so the next year in 2017, I was like, all right, well, the iPhone X got announced, and I was like, okay, I will make an iPhone X parody. Here's the thing, though. I didn't end up posting the iPhone X parody until April of 2018, like 9 months after it was announced, or like 7 months, 7 months, 7 months after it was announced. And it was very late to get the video out. I understood that, but I was just like, I had already filmed it, and I will go. I want to go into why. Obviously, I took so long to post that specific video. So I used to edit specifically. I've gone through a lot of periods of time with using different editors for my videos, in terms of like the actual program itself, like that I'm using to edit. But early on, when I was making videos, the editor that I was using was the YouTube video editor that was embedded into the site. And I feel like a lot of people probably don't even remember that, or like barely remember that. But I remember because I used it for a lot of videos, mainly because I didn't really have another means of editing at the time. I mean, I didn't have an editor on my phone. I didn't like at the time I had a shitty phone, so I didn't really have like a good reason to try to get an editor. I was just like, okay, well, and I thought editing on the computer was like the most standard way of doing it. So I was just like, okay, well, if I'm going to edit my videos, I might as well find a video editor to use on my phone. And my friend Talon showed me the YouTube video editor, and he was just like, yeah, this is a really easy way to edit your videos because it's already embedded into YouTube. So you literally just have to upload all of your footage to your YouTube channel, and then you're all set to just use it. And I was just like, okay, I mean, like, this isn't a bad option. So I started using the YouTube video editor to edit all my videos. And I used that for about a year and a half. And then around midway through 2017, they announced that they were going to be shutting down the service. And I was very lost because I was just like, well, if I can't use the YouTube video editor, I don't know how I'm going to be making my videos, because I didn't have another editor to use on my on my computer at the time, or my family computer, and I still didn't have an editor on my phone. So I was just like, okay, well, I guess I will just not work on videos for a little bit. And so that was around the end of 2017. I took a little break from making videos. The final video that I made was for a while was the Who's Ready for School video, the second one. And then I took a little bit of a break from posting, and I had filmed the iPhone X Parody midway through September because I was just like, maybe I can find another video editor and then I'll put that out. But I didn't end up finding another one for a while. So the iPhone X Parody, the footage for it just kind of just sat on my computer for a little bit. And then around December, or around, I guess, like late November, I started looking into editors on my phone because I had a little bit of a better phone. And I was like, okay, maybe I could find an editor, like a simple editor to use on my phone. And so I ended up finding one, and it's actually one that I still use to this day for certain things. Even though it's on my phone and I have an editor on my computer, I still use it for like image editing if I need like a very quick edit on my that I need to do it on my phone for whatever reason. But at the time, I used it for editing videos, and so I was like, okay, I guess this is what I'm using. What's funny about that is that I didn't even end up editing the iPhone X Parody on it because I kind of thought this is not a good enough editor to edit this sort of project, because I knew I wanted to make it look a certain way in terms of like the final iPhone X Parody project, and I was just like, I'm not going to use this editor to make it. So I still sat on it, even though I had the ability to edit in December of 2017. I did not work on this project. It wasn't until April of 2018. That's when I got my very first iPhone that I ever owned, and it is still to this day the one that I have. But I ended up getting that phone, and then I discovered iMovie on the iPhone, and I was just like, this was probably the best option that I had at the time because I didn't have like a Mac or anything with iMovie on it. I didn't have, a good editor to use on my family computer. So I was just like, I guess I'm using iMovie on my iPhone from now on. And I still used the other editor. I believe it was it's InShot. Yeah, it's called InShot. And I still would use that for certain edits. But overall, main thing I was using was iMovie. And I edited the entirety of the iPhone X Parody on iMovie, and I put it out, and I was like, okay, well, this is 7 months late, but at least it's done. And it came out, I still think it came out good. I mean, like, if you kind of like look at it with the lens that it was supposed to be posted in like September to October of 2017, when the iPhone X was actually relevant, it holds up pretty well. And I was still proud of it even when I put it out because I was just like, I'm just glad that this video is done. But then after that, I ended up doing the iPhone XS parody later that year, and I was very happy with that project. I remember editing that. I remember I filmed that like a day before. I had a marching band competition that I had to go to the day after, but I filmed it the night before, and I was like, all right, I think once I get back from my marching band competition, I'll work on this video, and I'll try to get it out as soon as possible. I ended up getting sick. I think I probably got sick from going to that competition. But I ended up getting sick, and so I had a lot of time to work on that video, and I ended up putting it out, and I was happy with the finished product. And so that was a pretty fun one to do, and I wasn't really planning on doing another Apple parody until the next year, but then I saw a commercial for the iPad Pro, and I was just like, maybe I could make a very short, like extra sort of like Apple parody of this, and that's what I did. I made a very, very short, like condensed, sort of like Apple parody, like iPad Pro parody in the style of the iPhone parodies that I make. But it even came down to having the same music and the same sort of presentation. But this time it was all voiceover, which made it a lot easier to edit and just a lot easier to film in general. But it was still very much a Toniverse Apple parody, and that's actually probably one of the ones that I'm most proud of, just because of how short and easy to watch it is. Like it's just not even a minute long. It's so easy to just put on, and you don't even like. I feel like it's pretty easy to enjoy, so I'm pretty proud of that one. The iPhone 11 parody was very specific in my head because it was the last video that I posted to my YouTube channel before I took like sort of a break during my senior year of high school. And so, I wanted to do the iPhone parody, the iPhone 11 parody. Obviously, I didn't want to just skip out on doing an Apple parody for that year. And so that was the last video that I like really motivated myself to make that year. And then I was just like, all right, I'm taking a break. Or at least I mean, like at the time, I don't think I intended to take a break, but like I kind of subconsciously was like, all right, I'm not going to be like hyper fixated on making videos right now. And so I posted the iPhone 11 parody, and then I took a little bit of a break. And then the iPhone 12 parody, this was mainly just, I mean, like I wanted to do another Apple parody, and this was just another excuse to fill out the lineup of the 12 Days of Toniverse that I did at the end of 2020. And mainly that was a way to get myself back into making videos after taking another break, which was separate from the break that I was just talking about. But I did the 12 Days of Toniverse. That alone, I could do a whole commentary video on that, and I might actually now that I'm thinking about it. But yeah, I made the iPhone 12 parody, and this one was a lot more rushed in comparison to previous Apple parodies. I remember I wrote it all in like a day, which normally with these parodies I take at least a couple days to write them, just because I like to do like more research on the iPhones and like really sit down and like think through how I'm going to write them, because the challenge with these videos is making them similar to each other just for like uniformity's sake, and also while also making sure I don't just repeat jokes in every single video. I mean, inevitably I'm gonna make similar jokes just because like how much is there really to say about each new iPhone at a certain point before you're just kind of like, the joke in and of itself is the fact that you're saying the same things every time. But regardless, I wanted to make sure that each parody sort of stood on their own, and like the types of jokes that I was making and the presentation, whatnot. I don't know if I really succeeded in that. That's okay. They're yearly videos. You're really only meant to watch them when they come out, and then that's it. But overall, with the iPhone 12 parody, I wrote it all in a day, filmed it in a day. I mean, I usually film them in a day, but then I had to like really like hammer in or like really focus to finish this video on time for the deadline that I set for myself for the 12 Days of Toniverse. And I don't know how I met it. Like looking back, I don't know how I was able to post 12 videos in a row, 12 days in a row. Like that's still crazy to me, but I was able to do it. And this was one of them. And I don't feel like I remember this one as much just because I did rush to make it so much, but it was still a really fun, like I still think it probably holds up. I don't know. There's probably some like dumb like COVID jokes in it or whatever, but whatever. Like that's natural. It's a 2020 video. And the iPhone 13 parody, I don't have much to say about that one just because it was just a very much like a standard like iPhone parody. Like I was just like, okay, well, I'm making another iPhone parody. There you go. I remember coming up with some of the jokes for this one while I was in New York with my friends that year, because we took our very late senior trip to New York at the end of 2021. And the iPhone actually got announced the iPhone 13 got announced while we were in New York. And so I remember like starting to brainstorm ideas for the jokes, because I was like, I know I'm going to eventually make it, so I might as well start thinking about it now. And so I did, and I made the iPhone 13 parody. I think it came out pretty good. I mean, at this point, I was using like my new shiny editor on my computer, so I was pretty satisfied with that aspect. But yeah, overall, and you might notice that, or I mean, like if you look at like all the timestamps, you might notice that like over time the iPhone parody just kind of got longer and longer, and I don't really know how. I guess I just had like more and more things to say, or like I forced myself to write longer scripts every single time. Not really like consciously, but just like that's just kind of what happened, because I wanted to make every succeeding iPhone parody to be better than the last. I don't know. But overall, like after doing these iPhone parodies for 6 years, I kind of decided in late 2022 that I was kind of like, I think the iPhone 14 parody is going to be my last one. And so, and I don't even really think I knew that until I started making it, but I was just kind of like, it's just like, this is kind of becoming a little old. Like I had fun making these parodies for a while, but it kind of got to the point where I was like, how many more of these am I going to do? And like, what more can I say at this point about these iPhones when they're like pretty much the same every year with like such minute details that are different about them. And I was just like, I think I'm just done making these. So the iPhone 14 parody, by design, was a lot longer than previous years' parodies and a lot more elaborate and a lot more cynical and a lot more just reflective on just like the parodies that I was making in general. And I think because of that, I think it's just overall like probably my favorite of the ones that I've made. It's obviously very similar to the other ones, but it's still like, uh, you know, I I am proud of the jokes. I think that they're pretty good. I think that overall the message of the video is decent, and definitely just look back fondly on it. And I'm kind of glad that I'm done making these overall because they were getting a little bit tiring to make. But it is like I said, they are very easy videos to watch for just an everyday viewer, and so I'm happy about that aspect. But overall, I'm just glad to be moving on and working on other types of videos while I can still look at these and kind of learn and grow from them. But overall, that's going to end this commentary video. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.